Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm doing a video on two-base TVP openers. More specifically, if you're struggling against Protoss in the sense that you feel like you're getting overwhelmed a lot in the early game, or maybe even dying to a prism in your main, I got a build for you in this game. It's actually really simple, and you probably already either know about it, have done it before. Actually, probably more likely to have already done it before, but I'm gonna explain why this particular opener is really good against really aggressive Protoss players or Protoss players who will cut workers and build a lot of gateway units early on. And it's basically just a 5 racks 2 base opener. It could You could really do it from anything. You could do it from what am I drop. You could go 3 racks into 5 racks. You could go, I don't know, cloak banshees into this 5 racks on 2 bases. It's really pretty universal. But I'm just gonna explain a little bit of the timing, the build, and then I'll talk more about like the strategy involved. You know, where you want to maybe rally units or like how you want to approach fights and stuff. But I do have his TVP against. I think it is. This person is from the Chinese server. Obviously, the Chinese server does not exist anymore. But I think this is a Chinese Protoss player that plays on NA West sometimes. So if you're wondering who this is, I think they're about 6,100, I think, or so, somewhere around there. Yeah, definitely 6K though. So they're pretty good, and I actually played a couple of games this particular day. But so I go for Reaper. Reaper fast expand with the bunker and the marine. Obviously, very very simple. Followed by a second gas. I'm gonna go for a double what am I drop Raven. So it's basically about as standard as it gets. It's actually insanely standard. Honestly, it's not even that common anymore. I would say I think there's a lot more flexibility with the openers these days, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to be talking about that. So Hellion, I like doing the Hellion first, get some good scouting in. If you want to see somebody better than me do this particular 111, I would highly recommend checking out a YouTube video posted by The Comeback TV of Clem's POV against Max Pax. I recently did a video about that on my Ko-fi page, but it was basically explaining how and why like some of the pros have been opening with that one Hellion and why they're using it. Just I guess to quickly go over that, it's basically just to add some extra scouting and could also be used as a form of aggression. Obviously, the Reaper can be used to scout, but sometimes you lose it diving it into the main. You don't really get the opportunity to check on like the natural or on the natural front wall or the third. In this case, the Hellion helps me do that, which is very nice. So, what am I drop? Obviously, I'm doing one what am I drop into a tank. And basically, again, like it's only really going to get different when it comes time to adding the extra barracks, as well as how I use my units. So I see no gases in the natural. I don't see any extra gateways in the front. That's a pretty good sign that it's just going to be a very normal opener. They're probably going to be taking a third. If they wanted to 4-gate blinking or something like this, they would definitely have at least one gas in the natural at this point. There's a third base. We scout with the Woodmine drop. And obviously, because my drop got spotted, I'm going to be chilling about it. So that's kind of the first thing I want to talk about there is something that happens a lot is you don't need to just yeet the Wood of Mine drop as soon as it gets there. I don't know why. I think a lot of people have that sort of feeling that they need to do that, and sometimes it works. Honestly, like as somebody who coaches a lot of Diamond League players, sometimes it works, but a lot of times too, people know that it's so obvious they'll be in position. You'll go for the drop, it just dies, and so if you don't want that to happen, or maybe that's something that happens to you a lot, what you can do instead is do this where I kind of park it in between 2 bases or maybe on the side of the main over here. And I'll just wait. I'll time it with something else, depending on how quick you are or maybe your level. If you can afford to allocate some APM, moving across the map and then doing the mine drop could be a good combination. And you might get more value out of that, right? Like forcing your opponent to leave their stalkers in their main is also really nice because if I do go for this push and I'm moving across the map, there's no stalkers poking me, which is a big deal, right? I'll go for my 4th gas. I'm going to start adding my extra racks. You want to add your extra barracks, I would say about like 5:20, 5:30 the latest. Otherwise, if it's like 6 minutes in and you're still trying to decide if you want to add 2 more barracks or take a third, I would just suggest taking a third. It's just going to be too late at that point to really reap the rewards of having the faster barracks, so you're better off just building the third. I use my mine drop there, try to get some probes. Didn't work out, unfortunately, but I'm also going to use my Raven on the other side of the map to harass. And I'm going to build 2 tanks and 2 mines. And I'm going to go for that +1 attack, and now I should be getting +1 armor. soon. Or, sorry, let me rephrase that. I should be starting +1 now, and then getting +1 armor later on. Looks like I'm not getting an essential upgrade here, which is triggering me really bad because I'm doing a video on this. But if you're better than me, which you guys will be, you're going to get your +1. You're going to go stim, +1, and then combat shields, okay? Alright, so I got my units set up. I'm just waiting for the medevacs now, basically. And I started building SCVs at 46. That's really normal because 46 workers is the optimal saturation for 2 bases. And once you get there, you don't want to be dumping more money on workers because then they're not really mining efficiently. I actually built 1 extra in this game, so I'm 47. And so the extra money you save not building workers, you can either like pop a third later on, or you just dump it into more units. I'm going to be dumping it into more units as things get a little bit dicier later on. There goes the Raven. You don't have to use the Raven, you know, for harassment purposes. It's a very common thing to do. I like doing it a lot, honestly. And I don't think I even researched the Matrix. I did not. So I'm using the Raven just for the turret harass, which, you know, can do a lot of damage. Don't do any damage. But I am keeping the stalkers at home by doing this. So although my opponent has seen me move out, I am moving freely across the map. Now, a couple of things here before we continue. I built my buildings back here to be away from any potential vision. There will be some players who will send their workers, or sorry, their observers all the way into your base to try to scout. In this case, that didn't happen. In fact, it's not very likely and not too common to happen after like 5:30 or so. So hiding these here are very good. The prism comes in, and this could actually do tons of damage if I was playing 3 racks into a third base. But because I went 5 racks on 2 bases, I have so much production early on that I can actually defend this while still being able to attack across the map. Which is why I was saying earlier that this is really good against players who maybe are very aggressive, or if you're having trouble against War Prism harass early on or something like that. This is really good. The other thing is, obviously here I'm going to queue up more units in my barracks. In fact, you can kind of see I'm over queuing here a little bit to be able to defend this, right? If this doesn't happen, I don't have to be queuing so many Marines here, at least not yet. And I can, you know, fit in a third base or something like that. I can cancel these Marauders as well. Obviously, I'm losing mining time right now. But it would be possible for me to pop a third base while I'm pushing. That just means that my 5 racks is a bit more committed, but it doesn't make me super all in. I can still transition if I, you know, maybe get some good damage done across the map. So I'm going to be juggling this Warp Prism harass while pushing. The other thing to note as well is that whatever gets warped in by this prism suggests less units on the other side of the map, right? I should have really canceled that mine, by the way, because a lot of my SCVs are going to die now. But whatever else get warped in here means less units here. So naturally here I scan as I'm pushing in. And I just have so much supply. Again, like I'm down workers, especially after that mine shot, because it damaged so many of my own SCVs. But I have a lot of supply, and I should have +1 at this point, and I do not. So if I had +1 here, this would be even better. I'm going to target the sentries, my tanks, as much as I can. Try to get that last one there. There it goes. And I'm still producing tons of units as soon as I get money again, because I told them to keep mining. I try to bring that turret to harass, that Raven to harass. And I just have a lot of stuff, right? So I lose some economy for sure. I am definitely down on some mining, but I just have another army ready to go, you know. And so this is where kind of the advantages and disadvantages come in of going 5 racks first. If I lose SCVs to the prism and I played 3 command center, 3 racks, you know, depending on how many workers I've lost, on 3 command centers it's very easy to rebuild the SCV count, right? So if I'm doing this equivalent damage that I'm doing now, and then I still have a third base, I'm in a pretty good position, obviously. Now, if I go 5 racks and I lose a lot of SCVs to the prism, I don't really have that luxury. So I do have more pressure to do more damage and or win the game. So that would be the downside, or maybe not even downside per se. It's just kind of like the difference between the two. But I think a lot of people in Diamond League experience more success going 5 racks first because it kind of focuses more on the macro, like the barracks production. And I think a lot of Protoss players at this level are really, really scared of Terran pushes, especially Terran pushes with the Raven. So they will cut probes and build an abundance of units early on. And so, for example, if you go 3 racks into 3CC, and maybe your macro is not very good, you go across the map, you take a fight, you could get overran by like, I don't know, 10 gateways with a bunch of zealots, right? And you just don't have enough production to keep up, so they'll go across the map and kill you. But doing it this way might make it easier for you to have some more sustainability. And, you know, as long as you're not losing, like, in this case here, I lost 10 workers across the map to a prism. If I avoid that, which I very well easily could have avoided that entirely if I didn't let the Widow Mine literally kill all my workers, I could be building a third base right now, and I would be in an excellent spot. So this is kind of like a, I don't know, food for thought kind of thing. I'll post a replay in the description if you guys want to check it out. But I think that if you're struggling with just basic toss aggro or Protoss players cutting down workers and building a lot of units early on, this is a good way to handle that. And yeah, so if you guys enjoyed the video, let me know. And you have any any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.